Hey guys, how you going? Hope you're all doing very well. This afternoon I'm going to be doing another movie review. This movie is a horror film from Japan, Japanese language English subs, released in the year 2003, directed by Takashi Miike, and this film is called Gozu. So Gozu is set in the Yakuza world, the Japanese mafia. You got Minami, who's one of the henchmen to a very well-respected boss, and Minami's best friend is completely crazy. He's starting to lose his mind, and the boss wants Minami to kill him. Basically take him out to the middle of nowhere and take care of business. And so Minami doesn't really want to do this. He's torn up about it, but he has to follow orders. So he takes his friend out, they travel out to this very secluded town, and there is an event that occurs that sees the friend die prematurely. And so Minami has now achieved what his boss told him to, but there are things that are going to be complicated when the body goes missing. All of a sudden it's vanished, and now Minami has to go on a quest to see what's happened to the body, but in doing so he starts to lose his grip on his own sanity. And so the town that he's in, he meets these increasingly bizarre people, and he doesn't know what's reality or in fact whether or not he's losing his mind. So whether or not he can keep his sanity and find out what happened to his friend's body is something you're going to have to find out for yourself, because that's as far as I'm going with my synopsis. Now my thoughts on Gozu. Takashi Miike is one of the most prolific filmmakers out there. He has made over 100 films, and that is actually quite impressive. But my biggest problem with Takashi Miike, especially recently, is that I think he makes a little bit too many, and so he doesn't have a lot of time and effort into his films, and I don't feel like they have the love and passion that his films in the late 90s and early 2000s did. So when you think of Takashi Miike, you think of his masterpieces such as Ichi the Killer and Audition, but then recently you've got films like Terra Firmas that really haven't been that great, and so I think he makes a little bit too many. But the time period of the late 90s and early 2000s were his best period, and Gozu falls into that period, and so that's the reason why I really wanted to see this film. It looked crazy, and so when it comes to a Takashi Miike film, you definitely know that you're in for a crazy experience. But really, I couldn't prepare myself for what Gozu was going to deliver. Gozu is one of the strangest films that I've ever seen, and that can be a very good thing and a very bad thing. Very good in the fact that it is very unique. If you've seen Takashi Miike films, you think of very crazy taboo themes that his movies depict, and Gozu is everything that you would expect, but it's a little bit more. And so it's this descent into madness, basically. Minami is a very interesting character, and when he goes to this very bizarre town, that mystery where you want to know what's happened is starting to get more and more surreal. So it is an absolute nightmare, and the movie does invoke the feeling of anxiety, is that it's very, very uncomfortable. Psychologically, this is very dark, and it does have moments of dark comedy, and so you do laugh, and it does alleviate a lot of the pressure, and so you can maintain that level of interest, but at the same time you're not being hit over the head with really, really shocking moments. Yes, there are shocking moments, but it's done in a way that's very lighthearted, so you're laughing at things that you really shouldn't be laughing at, which is everything that dark humour is about. And I think dark humour is what Takashi Miike understands the best, is that he can make light of even the most shocking events, and so as I said, it alleviates the pressure to some degree to actually allow you to maintain that interest, but at the same time have a lot of fun in actually wanting to know what's going on. So the acting from everyone involved I thought was great. As I said, it's a very insane film, so the characters are larger than life, and it's almost like it's a different world, a different dimension, and I could feel as though I was losing my mind as well. And so Takashi Miike does a great job at actually telling a story not only through the characters but also the visuals. I thought the visuals were very, very striking, and it was done in a way where I haven't really seen this sort of thing before. And so Gozu has a reputation of being very strange, and it really does live up to that reputation. I thought the soundtrack was great, and I really like the idea that Takashi Miike didn't rely on violence. A lot of his films are hyper-violent, but this movie is not so much. It's more a case of a psychological journey with a very demented person in a very demented world, filled with people that you don't know whether or not it's reality or in fact fantasy. And so I thought there's a strong cloud of mystery to this film that keeps you guessing, and it maintains the interest. The interest is sustained to a level where I never felt as though it was outstaying its welcome. And so that was something I really enjoyed, and that's something that Takashi Miike in his older films really understood. And so it feels and appears to be a lot of time and attention to actually building a mysterious story, but at the same time taking you on a visual journey into absolute insanity. And so there are some moments that will shock you. There are a lot of themes in this film that it was actually trying to express. And I thought, all right, well, that was very interesting. And so it's unlike any other movie I've seen, and that's exactly what you want from a Takashi Miike film. This is a director who has his own style. It's a director who's actually promising you a different experience. And so if you go in there expecting that with Gozu, then you're coming out of this film feeling rewarded. But the biggest problem I had with Gozu is that it's a little bit too crazy for its own good. I think it really clouds itself in the clarity of the storytelling. Now, yes, it makes you want to go back and watch the film again, which can't be a bad thing, but there is not much clarity there. I think that it was just a little bit too insane for its own good, and I kept scratching my head thinking, what was the purpose of this particular scene, and what was the purpose of that particular scene? And so I just thought to myself, all right, there's a lot more head scratching than there is actually enjoying the film as much as I really wanted to enjoy it. Now, yes, as I said, I can appreciate everything Takashi Miike has thrown into Gozu in making something that is outrageously black, very, very dark, some very tense moments. As I said, it really does bring out the feeling of anxiety, is that Minami is in a world that he doesn't know whether or not he's losing his mind, and you can really feel that. And so it's a very horrific sort of psychological adventure, but at the same time I just thought it was a little bit too crazy. Is that, all right, well, yeah, really weird things are happening, but there's a strong level of randomness, and that randomness, as I said, gets in the way of the clarity of the storytelling. And so that's something that you might like, is that, as I said, this is storytelling that hasn't really been done, well, too many times, and that's what you want from cinema, something different. But when it just bombards you with all these really weird moments, I thought to myself, well, what was going on? What were the themes that Takashi Miike was trying to depict? And so it will make me want to go back and watch it again, but whether or not the other viewers will want to watch it again remains to be seen, is because it is quite an exhausting adventure into a mind of a man who is slowly going crazy. But to me, I just thought it would have been a little bit better if Takashi Miike reined in the complete randomness and craziness that that Gozu was, and maybe make it a little bit clearer into what he was trying to do with the overall story, which is not something that derailed the experience for me. As I said, I wanted something different, and that's exactly what I got from Gozu, but I just think as though it was very convoluted, and there are a lot of things that are going to actually create discussion. But whether or not you're going to enjoy it for what it is remains to be seen. But for me, I got something that was very different as far as Japanese cinema is concerned. Japanese cinema is known for their craziness, and Gozu definitely delivers on that promise. But I just thought as though if it was a little less crazy, it could have been a little bit better. But pushing that aside, it's definitely a film that you will remember. And as a result of that, I'm going to give Gozu 3.5 stars. Alright guys, that's it for my review. Hope you enjoyed it. Till next time, keep watching movies, and I'll see you later.